Yehuda Kaploun is president of Watergen USA. Watergen USA is fascinating, actually. Yehuda is also a rabbi, but he believes that America's infrastructure is crumbling. And it's not just Flint, Michigan that is facing a water crisis, but the whole of the United States. We welcome him to talk about his solution, his creation that has been blessed by Prime Minister Netanyahu and also our President Donald Trump. Talk about Watergen USA, and welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show.
Thank you very much, and thank you for having me. Watergen is a revolutionary technology that has the ability to transform how we get our water, not just in the United States, but worldwide. Watergen is an Israeli technology, and Watergen USA has manufacturing plants here in the United States. And what we do is we have the ability to make drinking water from the air. We take the air that you breathe, and we have the ability to create drinking water.
Take us through that process of how that worked and how it started with two Israeli soldiers.
Basically, there were two soldiers sitting in a tank, and they were being shot at, but they needed to be resupplied. And one of them was a scientist, one of them was an engineer, and they came up with the concept of there's got to be a way with everything that we have here to get water and the humidity here in the water. And they spent a significant amount of time researching and developing an atmospheric water technology that was cost efficient. Because you have a dehumidifier in your house, it's the same type of technology, but it's not cost effective and you can't drink the water. What we at Watergen do is we clean the air with specific filters. We bring that clean air, and from the clean air we bring it to a dew point. And after it's in the dew point, we add some minerals, filter it again, remove any sediments, and what you end up getting is the clean, pure water, a 7.6 pH content, which is the optimal content for tasting well, and it changes how you drink water.
How does this work for places like in the news, Flint, Michigan, and the water crisis they continue to face?
A little bit upsetting for me to have to tell you that we've tried numerous times to work with different government agencies in Flint, Michigan, and other areas because we are their solution for the drinking water crisis. If they would place our machines in the schools, we would be able to reduce the plastics. You would not have to truck in water anywhere. You would have the ability to have the children having clean tasting water, and it is the solution. But you have to have officials willing to understand that the new technology is the wave of the future. You can truck in bottled water, you can truck in plastic water, and Flint, Michigan, by the way, is one of 20 or 30 cities in the United States that has similar problems with lead in the water or toxins in the water. Every day you pick up a paper, you read about an army base that has chemicals in the water, or you read about people being sickened by the toxins that were in the ground. And you can't even test for every chemical that is in the ground now. So places like Fresno, California, or in California where they have areas that are contaminated, in Paradise, California, after the fires, they used chemicals that have now, they say they won't be able to use the drinking water for close to 3 or 4 years, maybe longer. So if we don't have creative solutions to the problem, plastic water bottles is definitely not the answer.
How does it work? I understand how it works for the schools and the classroom, but what about someone's home where they have to bathe, they have to cook, they have to take care of their children, the basic things that you need water for?
So basic water, if you have water that's not necessarily you have water that has toxins or tap water, you could use that tap water theoretically for your showers, for your toilets. But for cooking and for the health of a child, you want to have clean, pure water. So what we have learned from Flint, Michigan is that lead never leaves your body. The minuscule amount of lead never leaves your body. So you have to prevent lead from entering your body. So our suggestion is our home unit, which you plug in, and it's an award-winning unit from the best technology for the world at the CES show in 2019. If you plug that unit into your wall in your kitchen, you will get on average 5 gallons a day of clean water for drinking and cooking. Once you have that, you could use water that is going through the pipes that may not be great, but at least for showering and toilets, it's not entering someone's body.
Is this water crisis only unique to the United States?
This water crisis, unfortunately, is unique to the entire world right now. And we can take continent by continent, and let's do a little walkthrough. If you go to Africa, in places like the Lake Chad Basin, where 30 million people are at risk from toxins in the water, or you go to Sierra Leone, where we recently put a unit into the St. Joseph's Convent School for Girls, and that's the true spirit of what the world should be like. It's an Israeli technology built in America, sent to Sierra Leone, a Muslim country, and placed at a Catholic girls' school. And it was the first time that children saw clean drinking water. Imagine that. Imagine that we're sitting here in a beautiful studio, and we're talking about that there are children that have never seen that water is clean. They've only seen that water is dirty, it's yellow or brown. That's a terrible thing. And 1.7 million children die a year from lack of clean water. So the chairman of Watergen International, the doctor, the philanthropist, Michael Merilashvili, when he saw this technology, he was driven by the fact that children are dying from lack of clean water. And since then, and since he acquired the company, we have placed units in orphanages in Uzbekistan, we're in Brazil, we're in Sierra Leone, in Cape Town, South Africa now, we're helping with their water crisis, in Vietnam, in China, and in the United States. We were present after the storms of the flood of Harvey and Irma, the storms, and of Michael in the Panhandle and the campfires in Paradise, California. Our mobile trucks were there providing drinking water.
I'm Armstrong Williams. This is the Armstrong Williams Show, and talking to Watergen USA. We'll be back. Welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. When you build these plants, when you build this purification system in places around the world, talk about before and after.
I think it's transformative. I mean, I think people don't realize or have ever done a long-term cost analysis of the ancillary business aspects of it, as well as the health aspects of it. Because imagine if you're a child and let's say 3 months of the year you were drinking bad water and were sick because of it 3 months of the year. You drank bad water all year, but 3 months of the year you're sick. And now you have 3 months of the year you're healthy because instead of being sick. What does that do to somebody? So in terms of drinking water and being healthier, that's just one benefit. But when you employ people and you give people a sense of pride and a sense of dignity, and that you can train people to be the techs for maintenance and you can have assembly and you bring and create jobs, I think everybody deep down would like to work and have a job. I really believe that. And I think when you can have a workforce of people who at Watergen in particular, we're very proud that everybody feels a sense of mission. They feel that they're driven because every meeting that we do may bring about clean water for more people and a healthier aspect of their lives. I think that's about as rewarding as you can get. The Talmud says, he who has saved one life is as if he saved an entire world.
You know, people find it amazing, the unbelievable support and the continuing mentioning that Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu gives to Watergen USA. Is it politics, principle? It's just he realizes the need.
I think, unfortunately, in the world, there's movements like BDS that are boycott and divest from having anything Israeli. And I think by the Prime Minister, by highlighting the Israeli technology, that you cannot live without clean water, or you use your cell phone and there's Israeli technology in it, it kind of shines a positive light to those people who are the naysayers about Israel and you can't buy anything from Israel. If you really mean it, start living without water, start living without some technology. Don't drive your car because there's technology in your car that's Israeli made. Don't use your phone because there's technology in your phone that's Israeli created. Don't drink clean water, but drink lead in your water because you're not going to use Israeli technology. So I think the Prime Minister and other government officials, the President of Israel, they're so proud to showcase the innovative technology that Israel has, not just of Watergen. There are 7, 10, 15 other companies that are really changing how the world does. If you're disabled, they have machinery that can raise you out of a wheelchair. They have technologies today that are advancements in Parkinson's disease. There's so many things that are wonderful about an Israeli technology and Israeli innovation that why not highlight it? I don't think any, like a proud parent says, oh, my son is graduating with honors. The same thing here with the Prime Minister and the President of Israel and the Knesset in Israel. They're thrilled to work with us because we showcase and highlight what Israel innovation is all about. We're changing the world for the better.
Welcome back to the broadcast. There's this movement that is gaining steam, environmental justice. I would welcome your thoughts on this movement and what it really means for now and in the future.
I think that environmental justice is a very, very important issue if it's put in the right context. And when I say that, I want to qualify that. It's not a radical movement. It should not be a radical movement. It's a movement that says we have real problems and we're looking for real solutions and hold people accountable. If you're doing that, those things are great. But if you're only raising a red flag and you're not going to come up with a solution, that's not okay. Because solutions exist. So do both sides of the research. Do the research of what the problem is and do the research of what the solution is. Now, we know at Watergen, we're a solution for maybe 60% of America. We're not the solution for every air in America. In some areas, it's too dry. There's no humidity. In some areas, it's too cold. But the reality is, if we're a solution for 70%, then those 70% of Americans should be working with us, or those politicians for 70% of Americans should be working with us. There's no reason today for any elected official in Michigan to not have our number on speed dial. But we keep on sending information, we keep on calling, and they say, well, look into it. Well, while you're looking into it, people are getting sick, and you're not coming up with any solutions, and you're adding to the plastic. Imagine if I could tell you, put our unit into a school, give every child a reusable pouch, and there's no more plastic waste. For that school, plastic water bottles, you've made a campus plastic water bottle free.
And you can always use the same bottle.
You can use the same steel bottle. They sell today and they manufacture reusable containers.
So tell our audience about you and what gives you the credibility in this industry to get to where you have just become the magnet for this.
So I'm kind of humbled by that question because I really, for all intents and purposes, I am not an environmentalist. I never had a history of being an environmentalist. I was challenged by the chairman of the company in Israel and the major shareholder, Dr. Merilashvili, who said to me, if you believe in making a difference in the world, this is going to do it. My CEO and the person who I work with on a daily basis, Ed Russo, spent 40 years of his life closing toxic landfills, working on water, and never had a solution, knew that the problem existed, but when we met, he said, can you tell me this again? You're not cleaning water, you're making water, and you're making water from the air after you clean the air, so all the toxins in the ground, they don't apply here because you're making new water? And when it was like a light bulb went off, and he said all his life he'd been working on trying to find solutions for the problem.
Describe the machine. And people can see the footage here in the show, but describe it.
We have 4 different types of machines. We have a large-scale machine that you put in place. It needs to be outdoors, and it creates about 1,000 gallons to 1,300 gallons a day every day. And that doesn't have a container. The water gets generated. It goes into a container, ozonator, and dispenses, and we make water. Then we have a unit that you have and you've seen in the footage. is on our emergency response vehicle, but it's the same unit. It's a medium-sized unit. It does between 200 and 230 gallons a day. And it's literally mobile. It's used by the Army. It's used by schools, hospitals, military, medical centers. What that does is the air comes in. From that air, after we clean the air, we bring it to a dew point. It drops in, it gets filtered. And the amazing part is that it's so much easier to filter and clean air than it is to do clean toxins that you don't even know which toxins you need to remove from the ground that are in a reservoir in your water. If you buy plastic bottled water today, you don't know if that plastic bottle has sat in the sun, in a warehouse, in the truck, outside the store, in the store, and all those things bring chemicals that leach into the water. They're dangerous, and there's so many questions. But people don't realize without having a solution or an answer to that, you don't know what to do.
Are you optimistic that you will revolutionize?
I'm always optimistic. I think you have to be optimistic when you take on a battle that is to change how people think about water worldwide. So you have to be optimistic. I think necessity is going to help us with our optimism, because as we go to places that have no water and you can create water, and you see the light in a child's face when the first time they see clean water, I think that transforms you and gives you a new energy for the next meeting and the next meeting and the next meeting. You can be rejected 20 times to go and meet with politicians, but when you go to an orphanage or you go to a school and you see children getting clean water, I think that motivates you even more.
I'm Armstrong Williams, and we'll be back with some final thoughts. Don't go away. Welcome back to the broadcast. You know, finally, I'm sure people are very curious about this. How is it that our generation is the most advanced in technology and medicine across the board, and yet the infrastructure around us crumble and our water supply is so corrupt?
That's a tough question to answer, because the reality is we should have been prepared for this a long, long time ago. But I think that negligence, I think that apathy, I think that the ability of people passing the buck, or someone let it be the next guy's problem, I really don't want to hear about it. You know, the old expression, the chickens have come home to roost. Unfortunately, the neglect of the system for the last 30 years has created a problem of mad proportions. It's created a nightmare scenario that there are areas around America and around the globe that have no drinking water, that we're trucking in water. Can you imagine? We're talking about America. We're talking about the people who built the greatest country on earth. And yet we have areas that have not had clean water in 15 or 20 years. People need to understand that without fixing this problem, you're not going to have healthy children. You're not going to have healthy adults. So if we don't wake up and start solving these problems and holding people accountable to what they're doing about the water in America, and again, I'd like to stress this, water is not a political issue. Water is a human right.
How can our listeners in the United States and around the world learn more about you and your water company?
Well, I think the listeners should first contact their public officials and ask them why they don't have clean water. That's the first and best place to start for themselves to get healthy water and try and find out if they're drinking healthy water. But if you'd like to find out about our company, we're WatergenUSA.com. And we have videos that explain the technology. We have different machines showcased. We have new advances in technology that we're showcasing on our website, including, for example, a car that you have drinking water between the passenger and the driver that will hopefully debut in the near future, in the next couple of years, that will allow a more freer cabin inside the car. more comfortable and at the same time increase battery life for an electric car, or just make water available if you're driving a regular car?
You know, your enthusiasm and your spirit is contagious for this. This is something that you see as a mission, as a calling.
Well, I also give you something that we can do together and with your listeners. If you pick an area that you believe is really important, let's get together and we'll put a unit at our cost. Let the people join with you. Let's pick an area and do water together. Let people see the results, how you can transform one community at a time, give people clean water. You see, the beauty is when we go to Africa, the most rewarding feeling in the world is to see a village that never had clean water and see people getting clean water. When you go to a place in Central America that has problems getting water and you give them water, those are amazing things. So for the listeners, get involved. Ask your pastor, ask your rabbi, ask your leaders of your community and say, what can we do to better someone else's life, not just my own? Because I believe if you get up in the morning and you want to make somebody else's life just a little bit better, you're going to have a better day. So do something good for somebody else and inquire. If you have an older person in your neighborhood, ask them, can we lift up or carry bottled water if they know that they're drinking water from the tap and it's no good? Ask them what you can do to make their life a little bit easier. It doesn't have to be water related, but our goal as a company is to make the world a better place.
Yehuda Kaploun, Watergen USA. I can't thank you enough for joining us. I'm going to meet that challenge because I happen to own NBC WEYI Channel 25 in Flint, Michigan. I'm going to take you up on that challenge.
I would love to put a unit in your corporate head, in your station, and let people come and see it for themselves. We'll do a trial basis with you. Let the people understand that the solution is right there and available, and let them hold their elected officials accountable.
Thank you, and God bless you for your great work and what you do. And thank you for watching this edition of the Armstrong Williams Show.